Well, g'day folks, and happy Friday to you. I hope that your week has been fantastic. Mike Bartlett, pastor at King's Baptist Church, bringing you a little video update this week and a show and tell of sorts. Last week at our launch service on Sunday, I began a teaching series based on the whole idea of story. And I'm going to kick on with that this week, along with this teaching series that looks at all of the pages, of course, of Scripture, poems, prophecy, history, teachings, apocalyptic revelations. We recognize that it can be complicated trying to get your head around the whole thing. So the purpose of this series is to develop as a community a big picture understanding how the story of God that has been told in Scripture can actually be understood as a cohesive whole. And to do that, or along with that, we're going to be utilizing this book, which is actually called The Story of God, The Story of Us. It's been written by a friend of mine. It's a wonderful book that we'll be utilizing in our life groups. Our young folks are utilizing this book in the youth ministry, and I'd encourage you to get your hands on it. They're for sale either at the church office or after church on Sunday. So we'll be, this teaching series will take us all the way through to Easter. And speaking of Easter, this coming Wednesday is actually Ash Wednesday, which is the day that kicks off the season of Lent, the 40 days prior to Easter. And as a bit of a marker of being about to begin that season, I'm really excited to be able to take communion together as part of our worship services this coming Sunday. We haven't done that much because of the reality of the COVID pandemic, but we've got our hands on some COVID-safe communion material, and that is a pre-packaged little wafer and some juice in these little cups, so we can take communion together in a COVID-safe way. So that will be great, even if it's a little bit kitsch. And speaking of Lent as well, throughout the season of Lent, which is a season that people often set aside to give some focused attention to the work of God in their life in one way or another. Often you'll hear about people giving something up for Lent or trying something new for Lent. But throughout Lent, one practice as a community that I'm excited to be part of is we're going to hold a half-hour liturgy service on Wednesday nights throughout Lent, beginning on Ash Wednesday at 8 p.m. here at the church offices. I'd love it if you would join me for one or all of those services, just a half-hour time of prayer, scripture, reflection, and some discussion as well. So feel free to join me for that. It'd be great. 8 p.m. Wednesday nights here at the church offices throughout Lent. But that actually also brings me to the topic of this week's message, which is actually related to communion, and that's related to the whole idea of covenant. Covenant. Now that's a big, heavy word, but it's an important word because it's related to the stories of Scripture almost from the very beginning. And it's my contention that if we don't understand some of the really key stories that have shaped us, even over thousands of years, and communion is really the telling of that story, if we don't understand those stories, it's my contention that a lot of Scripture won't actually make sense. And so I'm excited for that this weekend. I'm really excited to see you either at 9:15 for our first service, which will of course have all of our kids programs running. Then we've got community time between 10:15 and 11 a.m. So that's when the coffee machine will be running. Feel free to cross over there and have a chat to the whole community. And then at 11, we'll have our second service. So one way or another, super excited to be together with you this Sunday, looking at the work of God in our life and the story that He's been telling and retelling and encourages us to tell with our lives. So we'll see you soon. Have a great weekend.